Hello again. Another day in the office today. Again, very empty. But nonetheless, today what I want to talk to you about is something which I was asked about recently, and that is probably directed at those of you who are in private practice as solicitors. And the question that was asked to me was sort of what do I think it takes to be a successful solicitor? Now, I can only speak from personal experience in that, and so my experience is within that prism, if you like, of having been a partner at a leading English firm, Herbert Smith, and then Herbert Smith Freehills, and then being a partner at Quinn, Emanuel, and so from some respects, certainly in the solicitor's profession in the city, those things are things which one would think are measures of success. And I think, so if you're looking at progressing in that way and you're looking at becoming a partner in a large firm, wherever it might be, there are a number of things which I think are necessary for you to understand before you embark on that particular journey. The first one really comes down to whether or not this is a job that you are passionate about, and passion is something which is often said, but really is much more rare to see evidenced. And what I mean by that is I tell people that work with me that this is not a job, it's a calling, and it's something that you know, frankly, from a relatively young age that you want to do. And when you do that, and when you want to do your best at it because you have a passion for it, it follows that you both find it very enjoyable, not all of it, but a great part of it, and you also are willing to make the necessary sacrifices of your time, physical, frankly, exhaustion quite often, in order to do your best, and that's because you have a passion for it. And so it's fair to say that most partners in the city, I expect, have had a similar journey, in that it's been a relatively long journey for them to reach partnership, and really that's just the bottom of another mountain, to be honest. But it's the case that you don't get there without considerable personal sacrifice in terms of extremely hard work. And there are very, very many people in the law, certainly in the solicitor's profession, and a very small proportion of them actually make it to partnership. And that's a function of those people really just working slightly harder in many cases than others. And so if you don't want to do that, the solicitor's profession is not necessarily for you, certainly in a big firm. And it's also the case, I mean, it'd be even worse for you at the bar, I suspect. Certainly the independent bar, you work prodigiously hard, I'm afraid. So what do you need to be a partner? What are the things which I think we look at for partners? And the first one, which is relevant both internally for promotions, but also relevant if you are just an individual solicitor by yourself, is clients. Do clients like you? And do you have what people might call a book of business? Well, that's really a crude term, but effectively what it means is that there are certain clients that like to work with you, that you work with, and that you expect, hopefully in the future, that they will continue to instruct you on matters. And how do you get those people? Well, there's lots of different ways, and it's the subject of a different talk. But one of the things which is critical is having that book of business, having those connections with people. And how do we get them? There are really only, in my humble experience, three ways of getting clients that are actually worthwhile having. These are people who like to work with you, so you need to have a good rapport with them. They don't necessarily need to be your best friend, but you certainly need to have a good rapport with them. Secondly, they need to trust you, and that is something which is hard won over time. Clients that trust you, building trust involves considerable investment of social time and considerable investment of really getting to know the client and demonstrating that they can trust you. And thirdly, getting good results for those clients, giving them good advice, or winning their cases, or simply demonstrating to them that you are someone that is providing them something of value, which they need. And so if you have all of those things, you're going to have clients that are probably going to stay with you, and you can do that really at any level of your profession. Many of the people I've worked with and work with today are people I worked with as a 2-year qualified solicitor 20 years ago. And so at any stage you can start to build those sorts of relationships. One of the things that you want to be careful of is clients really that are more transactional. So if a client is instructing you purely on the basis of price, and we see more and more of that, I'm afraid, those aren't necessarily the best clients to work with. From a personal perspective, I don't find working with people on that basis terribly fulfilling, unless I will, of course, but it's not something which I find particularly fulfilling. And indeed, bad clients in terms of poor rates, people who pay late, bad payers, or people who are perhaps potentially rude to solicitors who see their role as more of an execution thing rather than an advisor thing. It's part of both, actually. Those things just psychologically, I think, tend to fall lower on busy practitioners' daily to-do lists than clients they really enjoy working with. So as a client, I'd always think about that as well. I want the solicitor to prioritise my work. Legal skills, you need to be bright, you need to be sharp, you need to be quick. I mean, you don't need the skill and speed of the advocate in terms of picking up issues and running with them, but you do need to follow what's going on. That's usually evidence in the way in which you went through law school. If you did very well at law school, you probably enjoy legal work, you enjoy legal concepts. Do you really enjoy doing complex advice? It's one of the most enjoyable things I do is complex advice work. I absolutely adore that. I love sitting down, breaking down problems and writing the advice and thinking of strategies, best way to manage it. If you're not of that ilk, if you don't really enjoy that, if you don't, I mean, you don't have to be someone that's, goes to the law library and loves to read cases, but you do need to be someone that really enjoys nutting out complex problems and putting together a position that you think works. If you enjoy that and that gives you a buzz, then you're the right person. Also, if you sit in meetings and you're not following what's going on and you're not able to work it out, well, then that's obviously a problem. So you do need to be probably above average in terms of your legal capacity, and certainly in a larger firm, because you need to be able to deal with things quite quickly and quite complex things. You also, I think, need to be honest about the limitations of your ability. I've never a problem saying if I don't understand something, asking someone to repeat it. In fact, it's a mistake if I don't. And it's always also the case if I don't follow a particular legal argument, I might say, look, I just don't follow that, but I'll go away and have a look at it and I'll come back to you. That's something you need to be brave enough to do. It doesn't show weakness, it shows honesty, and honesty is something which is valued by usually clients and certainly people that you're dealing with on the other side of disputes and transactions. So that means you do need to do quite a lot of additional work to constantly bring yourself up to speed in the areas in which you practice, so keeping an eye on developments in the law and the like, and you need to do that in an unbillable way. This is something that you do. The next thing we look at, and there's that. There's do clients like you? Are you a good lawyer? I'm not saying that you need to be, the touchstone of all legal knowledge, but you do need to be someone who's considered quite sharp. Business acumen. You need to sometimes, certainly as a partner, make tough decisions. You need to look at clients and think, well, this client isn't a client that's particularly profitable for us, or this client is a difficult client that we don't like working with and creates additional problems consistently through the engagement. And you need to take tough decisions, and you need to be able to sometimes say, look, we just don't want to work for those people anymore. It's not worth doing it, and it's more trouble than it's worth, and have those discussions with them, particularly as we see things, particularly we move towards many clients categorising legal services the same way they buy pencils. Those sorts of people can sometimes be quite difficult in terms of being clients. They don't understand that there are certain things you can't do and you won't do for ethical or other reasons, but also it's simply the case that life is too short to work with people who make every waking moment something of a nightmare, and if they choose to do that, you need to jettison them and focus on clients which you enjoy working for and who pay their bills and behave as you would expect. Next thing, you need to have a reputation. You need to be honest in your dealings with other solicitors, honest in your dealings with tribunals should you be doing any advocacy. It's something which takes a very long time to build, a reputation of being someone that is forthright in their positions and honest in their positions in terms of the conduct of their obligations as a solicitor. If you slip once, if you get a reputation of being someone who's a little sharp or a little bit, what they might say, biddable, sort of do what the client asks them to do, it's a reputation you'll never shake, and you don't want that. And the reason you don't want that is because that will make you less effective. So those are things that I think I've learned. I hope that's helpful for those of you considering a career in commercial law.